This is Doug Vahrenberg, and welcome back to another set of tips and tricks. And today we're going to discuss vertical fishing with our sonar equipment. A lot of people have seen video game fishing where we're actually watching the bait on the unit. And one of the things I'm going to try to show today is teach you about how to put your bait in the right place so that the sonar unit can display it for you. Probably one of the biggest things is people put it overboard and they don't see it show up on the graph. It magically can't do it for you. You have to help it along just a little bit. And I'm going to show you how to do it. One of the things is transducer placement. External, US2, it can do it. You'll need 2D sonar. There's not a lot of adjustments that you have to do. Sensitivity, increase, decrease a little bit, you can do it with it. I drop shot with 200 kilohertz because when I see that fish, I want to be able to pinpoint it. And that's the big thing of coverage area. 200 degree kilohertz sonar is 1/3 of depth. So you're in 30 foot of water, it's going to show you a 10-foot circle. If you use 283 kilohertz, 83 kilohertz is a 60 degree coverage, which is equal to depth. So you're going to be looking at a 30-foot circle. From our transducer, we're going to call this nose of this. It would have 30 degree circle, would have 15 foot to the right, 15 to the left, 15 forward, 15 to the back. With our 200 kilohertz is a 20 degree cone and is a 1/3 of depth. So we're 10-foot circle. We're going to be looking at 5 foot forward, 5 foot to the side, 5 foot to the back, and 5 foot to the left, which is basically right out here. But that's at 30 foot deep. Now, at 3 foot down, if we measure 3 foot down here, 1, 2, 3, at this depth, pretty much right below the trailer here, at 200 kilohertz, you're only going to be covering a foot of circle total. So it's 6 inches in every direction. When you go to 6 foot, it's 2 foot. When you go to 9 foot, it's 3 foot. So as our beam goes down, we'll get parking cone here. It's kind of like the shape of this. It's going to keep increasing. So putting the bait in the right location in the beginning is going to make it easier to track that bait all the way down. That 30-foot circle, if we're in 283 kilohertz, is a lot easier, or even 200 kilohertz, 20 degree cone, we're looking at that 10-foot circle and 5 foot in every direction. It's going to be a lot easier to find that bait, the sonar, to see that bait in that circle than at 3 foot, because we're only dealing in a foot circle. So starting off by dropping your bait in the right place will make it easier to track all the way to whatever depth you want to fish. Basically, an easy way to do this is I've got a Dobbins rod, if I don't break tip off on the garage door here, I've got a drop shot tied on. Got my Dobbins rod here. I use a sunline braid as the back. I have a little swivel, have my bait, and I use an Elite tungsten weight. And you just slide this little thing through here. Wish I had my cheaters. Old eyes. But I just pull it up. So I've got a weight, a bait, and a swivel. When I drop that down, the sonar can actually pick up all three, and I'll show you a screen capture of actually using this exact same bait down at Table Rock, and you can see all three. Well, what I'm going to do is we're going to set up our Dobbins rod here, and we're going to set up our bait up off the bottom. And then we're going to use our flashlight. Our flashlight here is going to represent sonar coverage area. Sonar is basically like a sound field, just like a light is a light field. The light field is going to be representative of our sonar field. So if the bait is out here, it's not going to show up. As you see, it enters the area here, which is closer to the light to here than it is down there. I can see the bait. So moving over, it's not going to pick up the bait. But if I would drop that bait straight under that light, like it is now, you'll watch it go down. It's going down into the sonar beam, the sound field, disrupting it, returning sonar readings back to our unit, and displaying it on our graph. But if that bait becomes outside, it can't show it. So understanding where your transducer placement is, if you have a external transducer mounted right below the shaft of the right under the center of the shaft of the unit of the trolling motor, it makes it a lot easier because you can drop it right down the side of that shaft and start picking up that bait immediately. For example, with US2, when that comes down, that trolling motor head can be anywhere. With US2, if this was a US2 motor, the transducer's on the head. So I drop that down, the sonar reading's coming from here. If I move it over to here, it's going to be different. The sound waves are going to start here and go down. Versus over here, the sound waves going down in the front versus there, back, whatever. What that tells you is you need to understand the relationship of where that sonar signal is and where it's going down into the water. If you can understand that, it will help you get your bait in the right place at the right time. Now, one of the things that you can do to make it easier is when you drop your bait down, is you can move that bait around. And what I suggest is take you a heavy lead spoon on a weight, or you could use a heavy jig, just something 1/2 ounce, 3/4 would be a simple test. Put your trolling motor in the water and then take your rod, and what we're going to do, reel up here a little bit, is we're going to move that bait around our boat. And you will actually find the area that the cone angle. Just let off about 10 foot of water, 10 foot deep. Move your rod tip around so that bait, you're basically going to take this bait and you're going to work it around like this. You're going to have to move it pretty slow because the weight's going to have to catch up. Or you can drop it up and down until you find out where that bait is showing up on your screen. But understanding where that cone angle is coming from is going to make it a lot easier. If I was drop shotting a lot, I would probably put an external transducer right under the center of the shaft. So whenever I turn it, that transducer is going to stay in that exact same spot. And that's one of the benefits of running an external transducer. It's not because of performance difference, it's because of the ease of getting your bait into that coverage area. For example, easy to use the light here because we've got an adjustable lens. If the water kept going deeper, you're going to see our circle keep increasing. And as it increases, as we go deeper, this circle is going to keep getting bigger. And as you can see here, we've got a lot bigger circles. So the deeper you go, the easier it is going to be able to see the bait. When you start out shallow here, or if you're fishing shallower water, understanding that coverage area, and the smaller coverage area is higher up in the water, will help you understand how sonar works and how it sees it. The only thing that I would change in the unit if I was going to do this, the vertical fish with sonar, and I was past 10 foot deep, would be turn on the switch fire into the max mode. Because with light, you can see this most intense part of the circle here, but we're getting side lobes. Those side lobes are readable in Switchfire Max. In clear mode, we're only looking at the most intense part of the circle. That's still in the same coverage, but you'll get a little bit extra in max mode. Other than that, increase your sensitivity, bump it up 1 or 2 notches, and you will see on the screen your bait. You can see all 3 of these. You can see this little tiny swivel here. That little swivel right there will show up on sonar. That's not very big. If it can show up, anything can show up. The bait and the weight will all show up like we see in this image. So when you get out on the water the next time, drop your sonar in the water and take a bait and drop it down in there and play around. The easiest thing to do is move it around and find that area. Sometimes a transducer mounted on the bottom is tilted just a little bit. A little bit tilt is going to make it read better on one side versus the other side. You can really fine tune this drop shotting, vertical fishing, spooning type technique by just playing with your electronics and finding that easiest area to watch that bait travel all the way down. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool way to catch fish. Watching them on the graph, you can actually watch the fish normally intersect the line where your bait is before you feel it. Sonar is fast. It's the speed of sound, and it's an awesome tool when you understand and learn how this system works. I know this isn't actual on the water footage, but I think it's going to help you understand a little bit better about how sonar works, 2D sonar works for vertical fishing applications. I'm going to get a chance. I'm going to get down to Table Rock. They're getting ready to get really schooled up deep down there, and we're going to get some live footage with the Onyx. I'll show you some drop shot. I'll show you those techniques actually on the graph out in the wild, but this will help you understand where your transducer is, and putting your bait in the water will make it a lot easier for you. Thank you for tuning in to another set of tips and tricks, and I hope this helped you learn a little bit more about sonar and how to use it and how do you get the most out of that investment you've put into it. Thank you, and tune in next time.